Hello, you beautiful people. Thank you for listening to another episode of the MuscleMind podcast. I'm joined with the man, the myth, the legend, Cody Robinson here. How you doing, Cody?
I'm doing well.
Fantastic.
How are you?
It's Friday. It's raining.
It's go time.
A movie and my couch sounds phenomenal, but this sounds better. So we've got a lot of requests. I know I have, and I'm sure Cody has too, to discuss intermittent fasting. And one of the main points about this podcast when we started it, we wanted to stay very level. We didn't want to really sway you to one side or the other. I think we've mentioned that before, but we are going to go over intermittent fasting. We're going to touch on fasted workouts, why they're so effective and why they're so popular now. Intermittent fasting has really swept the fitness scene, especially the past year or two, man. I mean, I think everyone's kind of gravitated toward the intermittent fasting. And I think it's because it's simple enough that you'll actually do it, and it's meaningful enough that you'll get some good results from it.
Yeah, I think you've made some good points too about, which I know you'll touch on in this podcast, about how some people, it actually can fit in their daily schedules even better than trying to do traditional diets. So
for sure.
I love the fact that you,
especially busy professionals. Being around Birmingham, there's tons of medical professionals here. So nurses that work 12 on, 12 off, or whatever the case, 7 on, 7 off.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're constantly working. Is something you can definitely fit into your lifestyle, and it's not going to make your life harder. It's actually going to make it a little bit easier as far as your nutrition is concerned.
If you do it, the more and more people that I've seen have gone kind of flipped into intermittent fasting.
Bam!
The struggle's a little bit hard at the beginning because you're trying to change your behavior.
Right.
But once they flipped into it, their energy's higher, they're burning more calories, and it's just so that's what you said. It can really benefit them even more so, by jumping on a good schedule and being a busy professional. So
for sure.
Anyway, so what is it?
Yeah. Well, so I had a conversation with someone yesterday, and I came up with this little saying: it's not a diet. It's a pattern of eating.
I love that.
So if you think about it, so intermittent fasting, there's many forms of intermittent fasting. We're just going to kind of talk about the reason why it works. So your body uses glycogen as the main carbohydrate source.
Your blood sugar.
Right. Whenever you wake up, it's obviously depleted. Okay. So it's not gone, but it's very much depleted. That's why when you wake up, you're kind of hungry a little bit. You want to kind of replenish your nutrients per se. So your body is automatically going to have to work harder to burn calories. So your body's having to work harder. So the base principle of it, and it also makes your day kind of flow a little bit better. Like waking up and having to worry about fixing breakfast and do all this kind of stuff can be very, very difficult, especially with kids, and you got people just going all over the place. So intermittent fasting, there's several different types of fasting. So you have the 16-8 fast, which essentially is you fast for 16 hours and you feed for 8 hours. Now, what time you start your fast to what time you start your feed does not matter, as long as you stay on that 16 to 8 kind of scale. So
which one do you do? You do 16-8?
I do 16-8. So I don't eat until 12 p.m.
Okay.
And I'll eat again. I'll continuously eat until 8 p.m.
Yeah.
And then I fast from 8
p.m.
until 12 the next day.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, Cody, if you go to, let's say you go to bed at 10 o'clock. Let's say you have your last meal at 8 p.m. and you wake up at 6 or so, right?
Yeah.
You're fasting while you're sleeping. So you're not extending that non-feeding window, but just a couple hours. So you fast when you sleep anyway.
Yeah.
So waking up and having your glycogen depleted, your body's going to have to work really hard. But for me, it's really helped my brain function.
That's what I was going to ask you. What are some of the benefits aside from trying to drop weight or get
fat loss?
You say that's a huge part of what leads people, but you've explained how it helps you become more regimented. Your body gets used to this pattern.
Right. That gets into like time restrictive eating.
Okay.
Which we'll talk about that. But it kind of goes along with this 16-8 fast.
But you said you feel sharper.
Yes, my brain function. So I get up super early, as most
trainers
and decent human beings in the world.
Yeah, the ones that want to work.
The ones that want to work, you get up early. You get up 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes you might get up a little bit late. Your morning's rushed. For years and years and years, man, I had breakfast. I would always have breakfast as soon as I got up.
Yeah.
And then I switched to try this intermittent fasting because just like you, I like to try stuff before I tell people about it. Mm-hmm. And I noticed that had a very positive impact on my brain function and how sharp I am in the mornings. If you're a trainer, if you're someone who, whenever you wake up, you're going. You don't really ease into your day, or you have a job that doesn't allow you to ease into the day, and you're having to be communicative and you're having to deal with different people very early, it's really helped me.
Well, it sounds good. I mean, it already makes sense to me. I haven't tried it directly myself, but I have clients who've done it. I have several other people have done it.
Right.
And like for me, I struggle because if we're mobile, so we're driving all over the map. And so if I don't have something like on me in the car, I may miss meals or I may not get it. So I could see where this could be a benefit for me.
100%.
But anyway.
Yeah, and it makes me sharper. I don't know if having the carbohydrates in my body or something like that makes me like lethargic or a little bit, having like a big heavy breakfast makes me want to go back to sleep. That's kind of like today we woke up, it was real, gloomy and just whatever outside. If I have a big breakfast, man, I'm going to want to go back home and go back to bed.
Yeah.
That's just how my brain works, and it works for me. So that's another thing too, is figuring out what works best for you. This is something that I would recommend for just about anyone to at least try to see how it is. It's really good for fat loss for sure, but
so you said there's a 16-8, and you said sometimes people can do a 12-12. Is that not another one?
Basically what you do is a 12-12.
Oh, okay.
Basically naturally you do a 12-12 fast because most people have their last meal or eat at 8 o'clock. You might get up in the middle of the night, have that Pop-Tart or whatever, but
that's Rick. Yeah,
that's Rick. Rick can do that. Rick loves that and peanut butter together.
Yeah, but
so most of the time you're already doing about a 12-hour fast, a 12-hour feed. This is just extending it, 4 extra hours.
Okay,
which is going to make, like I said, your glycogen is going to be depleted whenever you get up. That's why fasted cardio works so well and it's so popular.
Yeah, you said you have a lot of
my ladies do they do fasted cardio because your glycogen levels are depleted already. Mm-hmm. So you're going to have to tap into your fat burning a lot faster.
Your reserve, because a lot of times when people, like if you're going into a workout, you may eat 30 minutes to an hour beforehand, or kind of get some carb in you to be able to burn that, to be able to perform. Now, which is good when you're doing the full functional stuff. Like if you're doing all that
strength training,
definitely strength training. You need that because your body, your muscles have to use that to be able to contract and move. But when you're restricting it, or when you're actually going to a point where it's like a steady state type of
exactly so
training,
very good point.
Then the fact that you don't have that in your system, your body's not going to try and burn off what's in your, basically in your digestive system. It's going to pull from your fat stores.
Correct. Right. So
that's why it works.
Low intensity, steady state cardio fasted is a great way to tap into your fat burning a lot faster. Mm-hmm. Now, strength training and stuff in the morning, doing it fasted is a little bit different. You have to really do it trial and error. So I have no problem doing it. Some people will get that nauseated feeling. That's because your glycogen levels get really depleted. Yeah. And you don't really have the energy to get that strength training workout in.
I really struggle with that. Yeah.
So that's something you have to play around with. But low intensity, walking on the treadmill for 30 minutes fasted is good. And even if you're doing intermittent fasting, I know they say that make sure you have that protein shake after you work out. That's not necessary. Yeah. The food's actually a little bit more impactful as far as that's concerned, but people that worry about hearing from all over the place to have a protein shake or have something after you work out, it's not necessarily needed if you're doing intermittent fasting. Yeah. And the reason why intermittent fasting works so well for a lot of people is something that's called time restrictive eating. So time restrictive eating. So I had a conversation with Heather Brown today. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about eating. We were talking about intermittent fasting, and we were talking about time restrictive eating. And I asked her, I was like, okay, so do you have a schedule of when you wake up? She said, yeah. So do you have a schedule for your 2 boys? She said, yes. I said, okay, do you have a schedule of when you like to eat dinner? She said, yes. I said, do you have a schedule of when you like to go to bed? Yes. And social media, do you have a schedule? Yes.
Right.
I said, so why would you not have a schedule for your eating?
Yeah.
So eating is the number one thing to your human body.
Yeah,
it's the number one thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think it's the most overlooked thing as well. But time restrictive eating is essentially putting your body on a clock. You have something called a circadian rhythm with your sleep.
Love it.
So if you switch that over and you have that with your feeding, say for example me, I eat at 12 o'clock. I finished up with Heather at 12:03. I didn't get here till like 12, whatever. I was starving to death.
Right.
You know, my body.
That was your time.
I have to eat. Yeah.
Well, I think that's important. I don't want to interrupt your
No, go
train of
ahead.
thought there, but we've talked about this when people hear about diets or structure, different kind of structured eatings. There's the fear of a yo-yo effect, but you feel like there's not one if you are with intermittent fasting, right? Because if you are true to your schedule,
right? Yeah. If you're right, if you're true to your schedule, if you get your body, which obviously Jim Stepani, he was talking about. Well, someone was like, well, they asked him a very good question, and I'm going to be paraphrasing here, but it was something to the effect of, well, I've always heard that eating a couple times or every couple of hours speeds up your metabolism. And his response is brilliant. He said, yes. However, your body's not going to drastically go crazy and go into this storing fat mode if you fast for another 4 hours. That was his comeback to that.
Yeah.
And it's very true. If you regiment yourself, even if you don't do the 12 p.m. to 8 p.m., maybe you do like a 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., which might be a little bit more reasonable for someone guiding into it.
Yeah.
And there's some days where I have to eat at like 11:30.
Yeah.
But it's okay. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, it's making me wonder if that's really more of a cop out now. The more that I think about yo-yo, I'm saying effects of, like timing of food, or like if you do a diet and then you come off of it and it bounces back up. But I mean, I don't know. The more that I'm sitting here thinking about some of this stuff, I'm like, it makes me wonder. It's got to be the quality of stuff you're putting in your body.
You're 100% right, man. If you if you do intermittent fasting, but you have McDonald's 3 times a day, okay, you're still gonna feel like shit. You might lose weight, put your body in a caloric deficit. That's all you have to do to lose weight,
right? Yeah.
But you're still gonna feel bad.
Yeah, you don't have the good stuff in you.
Yeah, and that's and also, your body is the most intricate thing in the entire world. Our body is definitely on a clock. It's the reason why we go to bed and get sleepy at nighttime, because your body gets used to it. It's not because it's dark outside. So if you train your body consistently to eat at a certain time, say you eat at 12, 3, 6, and 7.
Yeah.
Your body will naturally be hungry during those times, and your body will know that it's time to feed.
Right.
And when it's time to, release or get rid of that fat. It's just like when you're working out the same time every day is important. Your body will adjust to it. Your body knows, okay, I got a workout coming up.
Yeah.
Or, whatever the case may be.
There's other studies that even show like when your performance levels are going to be highest, because like some people say, my best performance time is 10 a.m. and 10 p.m.
Everybody's different.
And yours is 2 p.m.
Mine's 2 p.m. So I eat at 12 and I work out at 2.
Yeah.
And it's now, I've been doing this for like a couple of months now, I'll eat at 12 o'clock and I can already feel I feel more energized going towards 2 p.m. because my body knows I'm about to work out.
Yeah.
Because it's after my first
Your body
meal.
preps it. That makes so much sense. I mean, I never want to get off topic, but it's going to happen from time to time. But it makes me think about how, okay, so they say, like let's say from exercise physiology standpoint, they actually, for sprinters or anybody that's like an elite athlete, but especially a track athlete, they've actually measured their body's responses to prior to, not the exact same, but it's like prior to the pistol being pulled, and like within like a few seconds before, everything in their body actually completely elevates to be able to kick on, because their bodies are trained to respond at a specific time frame. So that's like milliseconds or whatever.
Right.
But it makes sense because our bodies are, if you really control it, because you can manipulate your body to do what you want to, and it's going to respond well. But that's just cool to me to think of the fact that not only is your routine getting the point of knowing when to eat, but then also when to perform.
Right. And that's basically what you're doing.
Super cool to me to think of it in that deeper level.
It is, and I think there's a lot more to intermittent fasting than just all the fat loss and you can drop weight. I think a lot of it has to do with improved brain function,
Right.
Cognitive, what's the word, abilities, and just different things, and getting your body on a schedule.
Well, people always say, it's one of the reasons they diet, or one of the reasons they try and exercise more. It's not always just for weight loss, but also performance. You know, we work with a lot of busy professionals. They want to be more productive at work or whatever. And you're starting to see that even more with your clients. Didn't you say there was one that you work with that's, I think, a busy professional or a medical professional that I think started doing this, and that he, maybe I'm wrong, started doing intermittent fasting, and it seems like it fits his schedule pretty well, or maybe I'm thinking of the nurses.
There's a couple nurses that I work with that do their nocturnal. Say. So they work all night.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, but there's a lot of nurses I'll do this with, because if you're a nurse, you don't necessarily know if you can stop what you're doing. If you're scrubbed in, you're doing this, can leave what you're doing and go eat. You can't do that all the time. But as far as that, it definitely works very well with busy schedules. It works well for mine. Mm-hmm. My busiest time is the morning, so I do a lot of my driving from client to client. So I don't have to worry about eating and all this kinds of, where am I getting my next meal from? I got to find a microwave, whatever. I don't have to eat till 12 o'clock. Mm-hmm. And it works best for my schedule. But if you have a schedule to where maybe not eating until 2 p.m., works better for you, and you eat from 2 to 10 p.m. Mm. It doesn't, depending on when you're training and what your goals are. I would say this, if your goals are to build muscle or gain weight, you could still do intermittent fasting, 100%. Because in order to lose weight, all you have to do is put your body in a caloric deficit. In order to gain weight, put your body in a caloric surplus. Mm-hmm. That is exactly why
it's a catabolic and an anabolic state.
That's it. It's exactly why doing high carb works, low carb works, keto works, intermittent fat. It doesn't matter.
There's been so many studies that they'll do 4 different versions of it in the deficit.
Mm-hmm. That's each towards your goals. That's it. Intermittent fasting for me just helps me with my brain function, cognitive abilities, and it's just a lot easier for my schedule.
Yeah. So I got So I got 2 things. I kind of want to bring up. So first, so if you're restricting your food, even if you're doing the fasting cardio, whatever, can you consume any other type of liquid? I mean, can you do water? Can you do coffee?
Question. So there's been a lot of scientific studies have shown that branched chain amino acids, technically anything that has a caloric number to it will break your fast.
You're right.
Right. So anything that is of a food substance, so like coffee is fine, black coffee is fine, but if you add that sugar into it or that milk, you're going to break your fast.
Right.
Now, the branched chain amino acids, most of them, if you look at the back of it, does not have a caloric account to it.
Right.
But it does spike your glycogen. Mm-hmm. It does spike your sugar levels. So there's been a lot of studies. It's kind of 50-50 as far as what if branched chain amino acids do break your fast or not. Mm-hmm. But I know branched chain amino acids, the main objective or main goal is what they do is they go in and they protect your muscles essentially.
Yeah, they are in essence, they are the building blocks. They're the small pieces that actually support and actually reproduce and create your protein in your body. So your muscles in your body. So when you're drinking these branched chain amino acids or taking them whatever format, really, you're basically creating a surplus. So they're going straight to those muscles and they're keeping them from breaking down, because the body, once you're starting to, especially doing the fasting cardio, you're going to pull from 3 things, at least 2 things. So you're going to pull from your fat stores first. But if you're not careful, if you go too long or if you whatever, then your muscle can actually start to break down, because
and that's why you drink.
That's why you have those, to keep your muscles actually breaking down, because your body's got to pull from something. It's like people that do these crazy ultra swims or marathons or whatever. They'll overeat or they'll gain weight, because before they're even done with this few hour swim or whatever, their body will actually burn off about 15 to 30 pounds of fat or whatever. So clearly they didn't want to be able to, they did it a different way. They gained much fat burning. So, but that's cool. And that's a good point. And I think one thing about, and I've heard this a good bit, and I've actually talked to a few different endocrinologists about anything that, even if it has 0 sugar in it, if it has some type of sugar substitute, if it tastes sweet, even like the Diet Cokes or whatever, I think the reason it can still make your insulin raise is the taste makes your body think
makes
you're
your brain think,
consuming
makes your
something
brain
sweet.
think you are what's told.
And that's why I like the diet drinks and that stuff.
Yeah.
Frankly, at the end of the day, you're not. I don't think they're still going to affect your spiking that up and down, even though it's 0 calories.
That's very. So it's kind of a double-edged sword with branched chain amino acids when you do any type of fasting or intermittent fast. Because whenever you taste that sweetness of that branched chain amino acid, your brain's going to think you're getting some type of sugary food.
And some of them are super sweet.
And some of them are very sweet.
Yeah.
So it's going to trick your brain. So technically you're not doing you are as far as a caloric standpoint, but from your brain function, not. I don't have BCAAs till like 10:30.
Yeah.
So, but I've always drink BCAAs whenever I do intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
I drink BCAAs all day.
Well, you're always building. You're trying to sustain your muscle growth too.
That's another thing. Yeah, you're very correct. Like whenever your glycogen's depleted, like you said, you're going to either tap into your muscle burning or your fat burning.
Right.
Branched chain amino acids will essentially protect your muscles to ensure that you pull from that fat burning first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the fun stuff.
That's it.
All right. Anything else on those?
Let's see. Another thing about time restrictive eating too is whenever you travel.
That's right. That's okay. Wait.
Yeah, it's whenever you travel. So if you travel a lot and you're in different time zones, if you eat at 12 o'clock every single day here, let's say you travel to LA, you're going to eat at 12 o'clock on their time. Your body will automatically adjust.
Yeah.
If that's your first meal, even though it is 5 p.m. or whatever it is over there, whatever the time change is, you still eat at that same particular time, and your body will adjust. You'll be able to basically forego the whole jet lag. Not totally, but it's definitely going to help you do that. I had a radiologist. He traveled over to.
This is what I was thinking about.
Yeah, he traveled over to Arizona, and he was saying that I told him I wanted him to try it and see how it worked, and he said it was 10 times better, and he'll always do that now. He'll always stick to that same eating pattern, because your body will naturally adjust.
And
I think what you're talking about is the whole week macro thing.
Oh yeah, that's what it was.
That's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But
you want to save that one for another one, or?
Oh, we can talk about it. But I was going to segue into. So, like I said at the very beginning, intermittent fasting is not a diet. It's simply a pattern of eating.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to do intermittent fasting, you could do keto with it. You could do high carb. You could do low carb. You can do whatever. What I do is with all my clients is just track macros.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, it's the easiest way. You have protein, carbs, and fats. I mean, most everything that you eat are comprised of those things. You have micronutrients and vitamins and things like that, but macronutrients is the best. And the story that we'll save the macro thing for the, but I'll tell you the story.
But the next time you hear macros, that's all people are talking about is proteins, fats, and carbs.
That's it. That's all a macro is with an A. Macro larger. Micro would be vitamins and
and macronutrient. Okay.
Sorry. But so I had a guy, he's a radiologist at UAB, Jeffrey Cutler. He doesn't mind to say his name, but his schedule is it's ridiculous. And some days he was able to get his protein in and carbs in. Some days he wasn't because he would work 16, 17 hours, whatever. So what I did was I just totaled his macros up for 7 days. Then told him to, I don't know, I think his protein was at 1,400 grams of protein for the week. And his goal was to block out 7 days and get all those grams of protein, carbs, and fats within that whole week period. Because if you want to lose a pound a week, it's 3,500 calories. So you'd have to figure out somewhere
equivalency of a deficit of that
per
which
day,
it can
which
be
is 500 a day.
It can be food. I mean, it's
exercise.
It can be exercise, combination of both. I mean, a lot of people will go to MyFitnessPal, and sometimes that can kind of help you get an idea for a week or two of those counts. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. But he wants to gain about 10 pounds by the end of the year.
So he's got to eat. He's got to consume more.
So you got to eat 500 more calories, but it's technically 3,500 calories per week.
Right.
So I just added that in there, and he now has a much easier understanding, an easier way to break down from Sunday to Sunday. Sunday to Saturday. He's got to get this many macros in per week. It's really unique approach.
That was so neat. I'd never heard of that.
Really,
it makes so much sense. Though.
Yeah, really is a unique approach.
Yeah.
different types of, so that covers a 16-8. Just to recap that real fast, it doesn't have to be a certain time that you feed or fast, as long as it's a 16-hour fast, 8-hour feed, whatever works best with your schedule. There's also something that's become very popular. It's the 5-2 weekly fasting, which essentially is, I've never done this, but I've done a lot of research on it and just read different case studies, and it's 5 days of eating completely normal, and then 2 days of, I think it's like a 16-hour fast, and during the 8-hour feed period in there, you only have about 500 calories. From what I've read, it's very hard to do because you have to track your calories and your macros a little bit more intensely, kind of like the zigzag method or whatever. But
not to mention, I mean, weekend. If you do it, because most people are probably going to do it on the weekends,
right?
And that's usually the hardest time to control, like to plan out your eating,
right?
Because of whatever, it's family or whatnot. I mean, it's just
most of the time I do intermittent fasting Monday through Friday and eat whatever on Saturday and Sunday.
When I first started losing weight, before I became a trainer or anything else, that's what I got into doing was Monday. Like really controlling, everything Monday through lunchtime on Friday. Then I would eat whatever. But I say I eat whatever. By the time I've done controlled I wouldn't go crazy on the weekends usually. Yeah. I mean, by that point, because I'm like,
it's like the 80-20 rule.
Kind of used to. Yeah, I'm kind of moderation for sure. But you kind of get your most results 80% of the week. Yep, perfect.
Sweet. So that's the. I don't know a whole lot about the 5-2 weekly fasting, but I know I've read about it and different things like that. What I've read, it's very hard to keep up with it because on the 2 days you have to really lower your caloric intake to 500-600 calories. But again, that goes back to the whole week. Yeah. If you kind of plan out your calories for the whole week, and you have 2 days where you're going to drop it to 500, you kind of adjust the other 5 days accordingly, so on and so forth. But it takes a lot more calculation.
Yeah. And that one kind of makes me off the cuff, just kind of makes it a little bit nervous too, because a lot of times they say even for daily functionality, you need at least 1,200 to 1,500, and even that's can be on the low end. And I understand the full structure, but I can see why that one would be a little bit. But then also it might be more of a struggle for others. But anyway, again, we're trying to share information about this stuff for you.
Yeah, everything I've learned is right.
Yeah, kind of help guide you and give you some more options on what you might be willing to try.
So just a real quick recap of it all. I mean, fasting, I definitely would advise you to, or encourage you to at least try it, for a week or so. It usually takes a week or two for your body to adjust and to really kind of get a good feel for it. The main thing is, it really is simple to do, and it's almost, I put this into words, it's just really, really easy to do, and it's meaningful enough that you're going to be able to get something out of it, which, is very hard to say about a nutritional topic. People.
I think
scares people away.
That's the thing, and I think that's the way you've explained it. It makes even more sense to me. I mean, like even though I have a good grasp of it, the fact that it's not a diet, it's actually a planned eating pattern.
It's just a pattern.
I mean, that makes.
But I mean, the way I look at it, you have a pattern for everything else.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. It makes more sense now that you explain it that way.
Right. So yeah, I would definitely encourage people out there to try for a week or two, see if it works with your schedule. The main thing is, anything that's going to add calories or anything that has calories is going to break your fast. So I know, like I saw, we'll touch on this very briefly because this is a trigger for me, but about putting a knife spoonful or whatever the hell of butter in your coffee, intermittent fasting, that technically does break your fast.
Yeah, it's calories.
So it's a calorie. Any kind of calories
it's
break
fat,
your fast. Right. But that's getting into keto, and they have different rules for that, whatever. So it's not a diet. It's definitely a pattern of eating. You got the 16-8 fast, which is the most popular, the most effective in my mind as far as schedule-wise. And then you have the 5-2 weekly fasting, and then time-restrictive eating, which is simply just putting your body essentially on a circadian rhythm of you structure out your meals when you're going to eat them. But it all comes down to planning. With everything in life, especially with nutrition, you have to. I was talking to Heather about it today. You literally have to plan what you're doing, and intermittent fasting just kind of takes out your breakfast, essentially.
Yeah.
And it,
and this is coming from a guy who loves breakfast food.
coming from a guy who will have breakfast at 12
Anytime.
p.m.
Yep, anytime. Yep.
And that's usually what I do is I'll eat breakfast foods at 12 p.m. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see anybody that's watching this or listening to this. I mean, we'd love to kind of know your comments, your feedback on this, what your thoughts of it are, if you've done it, if you've known people who have done it. Because I do hear of all the things that are going on. I do hear other, like, the initial struggles in the beginning because you're trying to make the behavior change sometimes, but once people get into it, I've heard a lot of good results from people, and so we'd love to know your feedback on it.
For sure. Anything else? Any saved rounds?
No, I think that's good. I think you hit on a lot of good things. I mean, truthfully.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the honest feedback from me. I've used it with my clients. My clients see freaking awesome results off of it. Some of them can't do it. Some of them are, want to have breakfast. Hey, that's fine. It doesn't matter. As long as you continue to keep your body in a caloric deficit, if that's what your goal is, or a caloric surplus, if that's what your goal is, it doesn't matter. This is more or less for schedules and putting your body on a pattern, on a rhythm, brain function for myself. The main reason why I do it. Yeah. I could eat breakfast when I get up, but to me, I'm a little bit more sharp. So, if you got anything else, man, I think that covers intermittent fasting pretty down and dirty.
I mean, we'll go back and kind of look at it again. I think there's some other doors that we might be
we'll
down the road.
We'll do one on fasted workouts, and that's a whole different
that'd be
deep ball game. So, all right, guys, thanks for listening to the episode. Like Cody said, man, let us know what you think. We'd love to have you guys try it for a week or so, and then hit us and then tell me if you like it or not. So thanks for listening.
All right, thanks.